Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and today we are playing Rogue Mage, the brand new CD ProjektRed Gwent single-player game, formerly known as Nekker, that was released today. We'll play as Alzur, the original Witcher creator, in a single-player roguelike card game based in the Witcher universe. Rogue Mage is $10 US for the base version and $20 US for the premium version, which has additional cosmetics. Full disclosure, I received a free copy of this game from the developers. Hey, that's the first time I've been able to say that. We've played a lot of Gwent, Thronebreaker, and Witcher on this channel, so hopefully this is just the start of a long playthrough. But I hope this also helps you decide whether you want to pick up Rogue Mage for yourself. Now, let's get started.
Long ago, the continent was draped in darkness. Its lands overrun by otherworldly monsters, rabid beasts most foul. A scourge and a plague, sowing destruction and reaping despair. Those who wished to end the plight took up arms against the wretched creatures. All of them brave, all noble, all doomed. Yet amid the anguish, there was still hope. Alzur and Liliana, mages committed to ridding the world of all its horrors. They knew magic alone could not solve the problem. Those wielding it were too few. The infestation, too vast. And so they turned to science, envisioning a way to use mutation to their advantage, to create exceptional beings without fear or weakness. Their bodies imbued with the very essence of the beasts they would vanquish. Yet, for this, Alzur and Liliana needed to deepen their understanding of mutagens and turn theory into practice, no matter the terrible cost.
Okay, I think that was our opening there.
I knew this road wasn't safe.
They're no match for us. I'll scatter them. Cover me, Lily.
Alright, and we might be straight into the action here. What an opening! Alright, here we go, I'm excited. Welcome to the Gwent Rogue Mage tutorial. Here we will be introduced to the mechanics of the game. Let's try it out. So I am experienced with Gwent multiplayer and Thronebreaker, but we will see how this differs. So let's see. Combat is turn-based. Players can play one card from their hand per turn. So we can play a card here. Alright. Okay. I guess we're playing the Temerian Drummer. I am also curious to see, are the cards the same in terms of abilities as they would have in Gwent multiplayer? Because we actually see in multiplayer and Thronebreaker, the previous Gwent single-player game, the cards differed in what they did. So this looks the same as multiplayer right now. So at the end of your turn, boost the unit to the right. So if we play this next to Liliana, she would get boosted. Then again, Liliana is actually not a unit.
Left, right,
okay, you can end your turn
right.
by clicking on this, same as multiplayer. What do we have here? Bandit Leader, damage enemy by 1, cooldown 1. Iron Falcon Troubadour, give 2 armor to a unit in your hand. Okay, that is the same that it does in multiplayer as well, so it seems like, yes, the abilities do the same thing that they do in multiplayer. We just drew a card at the start of our turn, which is not something that would happen in multiplayer. Each player draws 1 card per turn. Yep, that's new. The counters on the corner show how many more cards can be drawn. Okay, 3. Gotcha. Okay, so it is limited how much we can do that. Sure. Okay, so why don't we... Let's see, it's kind of a Northern Realms deck to a certain extent. Alright, I kind of played Temerian Drummer on our first turn because it looked like it was forcing us to play Temerian Drummer, even though it was not objectively the best card for us to play. If we're just trying to outscore them here, then Reynard is a good early turn card to play, as well as Trident Infantry now that we have a Temerian Drummer, but let's go Reynard. Put him next to Temerian Drummer where he gets boosted, and he will boost Temerian Drummer as well. What does Liliana do? Whenever you play a spell, boost a random allied unit by 3. Play a card from our graveyard. Okay. Cutthroat. Okay. Let's see. The battle will finish once both players pass. They will be forced to pass when there are no more cards left in hand. Okay. For a second I thought I was going to say left in deck, and we currently only have 4 cards left in our deck. Guess we're only going to draw 2 more, but it's like, alright, so this match going to be quite short after all? No? Okay, once we're done with all the cards in our hand. And no further actions are available. Okay, makes sense. So now that we have this little boosting pocket where we can get a card boosted every turn, assuming this does the same thing it does in multiplayer, which it does do that, we can deal 1 damage every time Trident of Infantry gets boosted, so this is a classic combo right here. So that's certainly a nice choice for us. Oh. Okay, Ramon, normally... Why is he blue? He's usually not playable with these cards in multiplayer. Nor would... no, one-eyed bet says neutral. Same with Recruit. But there's a card that you would not only be able to play with this. Let's throw you down here. So you'll get boosted by both Reynard and from Temerian Drummer, which means we'll get extra points, and we'll also deal damage in the process, which is nice additional value there. Okay, more armor for them. For the cards in their hand, which is a little unfortunate, because that does mean that it is going to get difficult to destroy some of those cards. So to win, we must have more points than our opponent. At the moment, we're up 16 to 10, so things are looking pretty good thus far. We can further boost stuff with Temerian Drummer, and the earlier we do that, the better, because that means that we have more turns in which to benefit from getting +1 boosts. So we have Ramon, so we might as well use him to get an additional Temerian Drummer out there, and I think that's what we'll do here. Put him in a different area here, because there's... Temerian Drummer only boosts the card to the right of it, so we already have one in position to boost up Trident Infantry. We'll do the same for Ramon over here, even though he doesn't benefit as much. He doesn't get the extra damage every time he gets boosted, but it's still giving us 1 extra point per turn.
Never dropped a 1, but I've thrown a point.
And they're trying to disrupt this combo here, though I'm not necessarily sure that they'll be able to. We can right-click any card to preview more detailed information. Get a zoom in and see things like, okay, in this case, if we play in the melee row, it's going to do one thing. If we play in the range row, it's going to do another thing. So I am zooming through some of the stuff to a certain extent, just because this is quite similar to Gwent multiplayer and Thronebreaker to a slightly lesser extent, for those of you who are familiar with those games. So I was curious to see to what extent it would differ.
Army's a waste of time for him like me.
But it seems pretty similar thus far. So now that we have all of our, all of our engines on the board here, meaning cards that generate value over time, we wanted to play those early so we maximize value from them. Now we're going to look to do more of our point slams, or just get a whole bunch of value on the board immediately, which is better to finish with because we don't need to power those up over time. So we can boost adjacent units by 4, which does still benefit from, it does benefit Trident Infantry. So we might go with Sultan in between these two and get this guy boosted up 1 more time, and then use the recruits, both recruits and Stennis, to target him once again. Once per turn, you can spend energy to play a spell. Use your spells wisely to secure an advantage. Okay, that's new. Never seen this before. So we have 75 over here for all. So this would normally be your leader ability in Gwent multiplayer. So maybe it's a bit of an alternative there. Select and play a spell. Cooldown 1. Okay, let's try it out. So I have not seen any of these before. These all look brand new. Portal. Create and play a unit. Okay, that's one option. Boost an allied unit by 3. Or damage an enemy unit by 3. It looks like the number value in the bottom right corner dictates how many resources or how much energy it takes for us to use it. We have 75, so this one's the most expensive, but it does sound like playing an entirely new unit is the most powerful. But then again, we have a pretty huge advantage right now, so maybe we just boost. It's a little less expensive, and we still have Trident Infantry. And we can do the boosting on cool animations as well, and that gets us additional value. Orders can be used to, on top of playing a card. Yes, so all the cards we've played thus far do things when we play them, or automatically do things at the end of our turn, like boost a card next to them, or deal damage whenever we boost them. But we do have these cards that have that green circle around them, have an additional ability that we can activate. So Liliana, we were looking at her a little bit before, but couldn't actually use her. But what she does is, when we press on her, we can play a card from our graveyard, and because we just used that spell, Cleanse, and it goes to our graveyard, once we do so, we can replay it through Liliana, so I guess we'll do that here. And we'll continue to pour on the boosts on Trident Infantry. And it also boosts a random ally when we do that by 3 as well, and that went on the Temerian Drummer. So we get the extra value when we boost Trident Infantry, which has made this a very valuable card for us. Granted,
in silver or in blood.
Granted, there are some cards, at least in multiplayer Gwent, that can destroy really highly powered units, so we're really hoping that they don't have one of those, because we invested a lot in this guy, and we are probably going to continue to do that, but you know what, we'll test it out, we'll see if that is the case. So, we're gonna boost you once again, which is once again why it probably makes the most sense to, well, pray that they aren't about to just destroy this guy. Alright, that's a lot of damage to all other units, or one other damage to all other units, but hurts them in many ways just as much as it hurts us. So we're just going to continue to make this the world's biggest Trident Infantry. It's okay, I am a fan. I do very much like that card. For reasons that are hopefully becoming apparent. Because we are definitely getting additional value out of it. So then we can boost once again with Stennis, and if we put him in the melee row, we will boost one card by a lot. If we put him in the range row, we can boost lots of different cards by little. And, I mean, nothing is about to get destroyed, so it's not a huge deal, but I guess we'll go range row and make sure we get at least one boost on you. It doesn't matter how much we boost you by. You're always going to deal 1 damage to our opponent whenever you get boosted. It doesn't matter if it's boosted by 1 or boosted by 4. So that's why 1 boost on you should be sufficient. And just pass him around a little bit. Okay, and the Cutthroat for a little bit of bleed damage, which is basically damage over time. We've seen them do it a little bit thus far. Let's see. So this is our last turn. Make sure that we are able to have enough points to win the battle. I don't think that should be an issue. So don't forget about our spells. I mean, we could use more, but then again, I don't really know how this resource works. Like, do we get all of our energy back in between matches? Maybe. Maybe not. So I think we just save that, and we'll play One-Eyed Betsy as our finisher. So it's 4 damage, or 6 damage if they have armor, and that means, I mean, take your pick. Technically, well, it's still functionally 4 damage against you as well. Okay, so after doing everything you can do to build up your score, we can pass, which it appears that is likely the case here. I mean, unless we continue to play additional spells, though I don't really think that's necessary when we have a 60-plus point lead. So we'll pass. Okay, no, and their last play, no, is not enough for them to dramatically somehow find a way to catch us. So that means we'll win our first match. Achievement unlocked and victory. Okay, let's see. After winning a battle, we can add or remove cards from our deck. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so maybe this is where the roguelike aspects start to come in. So after winning the battle, we can choose to do that. Yes, we can either add or remove or skip. Cards that you find as rewards can sometimes be upgraded. The level of upgrade is symbolized by one of the colors, white, blue, purple, or gold, I believe, in order of rarity there. That's, again, the order of rarity for multiplayer Gwent cards. So, that sounds good. So, I mean, I guess we have the choice of going with either or. I don't know, let's try adding, I suppose. Okay, so once again, technically this feels weird because these are all cards that would not be able to be played in the same deck in multiplayer Gwent, but so this is the same ability as multiplayer, this is 2, and this is 2. Okay, so T4, 13 power is a lot of power. However, that is somewhat canceled out by the fact that when you play him, your opponent will also summon a card out from their deck onto the board, so it's basically 13 power minus whatever power your opponent gets on the board. Just a little bit of a dice roll there. There are technically some decks in multiplayer Gwent that are totally centered around this card that are kind of gimmicky, which we are definitely not going to be able to make happen here, so it's mostly just for the big points. Then both of these cards, the Wyvern and also the Nekker, have Thrive, and that is a different type of ability that makes it so that when you play this card on the board, every time you play a new unit, a new card that has direct power, if that card has more power than the Nekker or more power than the Wyvern, then these guys will get boosted in the process. So it's another card that generates value over time that you want to play early. In this case, it also deals 2 damage, and in this case, it spawns a copy of itself, so you get 2 Thrive units on the board, so that's potentially worth 2 points per turn. So this one scales a little bit more long-term, although short-term is a little bit weaker. I think we might actually prefer to go this route, though. It's a solid card. Alright, and what do we have here? A dragon? Okay, maybe that's the boss? The final boss, it would seem? And it looks like...
The sun is out, yet the air feels cold.
The ice dragon just arrived in the valley, likely bringing food for her young.
A mother looking after her children is hardly a monster, is it?
We need a pure mutagen. How many times did we fail with inferior ingredients?
I know, but when you chase the dream for so long, it's easy to lose sight of the principles that guided us in the first place.
Don't overthink it, my dear.
Okay, so it sounds like we heard about the creation of, or at least in theory, the creation of new Witchers using this science and research, but maybe we haven't done so yet and we still need some additional resources to make that happen, including some kind of ingredient from a dragon. So this is the map of the valley. Find and defeat the enemy that awaits you at the other end for its mutagen is essential to completing your grand experiment. Exactly. Click on any highlighted node to move there. So, okay, we have the choice of going in any of a number of directions. We have a treasure chest up here, a treasure chest up here, and a treasure chest down there as well. Okay, we can click and drag around. So it looks like this is where, and we can zoom out as well, we can start to plan out what our plan of attack is here to eventually make it all the way over to the boss battle. A powerful monster waits you. Defeat it to obtain a mutagen. So I don't know what happens if you lose before then, but in the meantime, we can get some treasure, some random events, places of power, which restore energy or use a special ability based on elements. Okay. So yeah, it does look like energy is an important aspect to consider, and maybe, as we saw in the previous match, if we don't need to use some, we should save it, because that might carry over from one encounter into the next. So yeah, lots of places of power. There is a battle here. A regular enemy awaits us. So one thing to consider is, obviously we want to get the most possible rewards on our way over to the boss, but is that something that we want to do via places of power, treasure, or we saw if we win a battle, yes, there is that risk of we might lose, but on the other hand, if we win, we get a new card. That's always a nice addition. So that is also something to bear in mind. I feel like we're trying to see as many different possibilities as possible. Then maybe we go treasure chest, place of power, random events, and we have already seen a battle, but if we go this route or if we go this route, we'll see a little bit of all those things. If we go the southernmost route, we get additional places of power, whereas if we go the northernmost route, we get additional battles, at least a little bit earlier on. I mean, there's more flexibility pathing-wise if we go through a middle route, because we can switch up, go higher or lower if necessary, but it is definitely a more battle-centric approach. Oh, and what is this? This is an elite battle. Oh. I also don't know if at any of the crossroads, like, can we, if we get here, can we double back? Kind of doubt it. This does intrigue me, but I feel like in the name of seeing as many different types of encounters as quickly as possible, let's go and check out treasure, place of power, random events, and another battle. So let's go here. Okay, so it looks like it's pretty simple, straightforward. We just get a treasure chest. Any downside at all? Maybe not. Maybe not. We have Girdle of Giant Strength, double an allied unit's power. Okay, so if we get a really big unit like we saw in our previous match where we had a, 20-point Trident Infantry, then that could give us a lot of additional value. Raven's Armor, it's a passive. All allied units have 2 additional armor, so it makes it harder for our opponents to take or deal damage to us. Doesn't directly equal points, but it does help it so that if our opponent is running with a lot of damage, it's not as effective for them. Then we have Tears of the Dragon, which is also passive. Sounds like this is a card that we directly play from hand, whereas this is a card that starts directly on the board. Transform an allied unit into a random one. Cooldown, too, so we can do that somewhat regularly. That's pretty RNG-centric. I like the memes, but on the other hand, I feel like it is, by some accounts, what appears to be very clearly not a great... Well, I mean, if you deliberately do this on a weak card, worst comes to worst, you exchange a weak card for another weak card. Maybe you're not getting much value in that case, but there's always a chance that you exchange a weak card and in return you get a really nice card, in which case it's worth a whole lot more. Still feel like this is probably the right answer, but if we see this again from a subsequent treasure chest, then maybe we will choose to pick it up. So I'll be curious to see. Those are all new cards. They do not exist in Gwent multiplayer, so I'm curious to see how many of those new and unique cards we have, and therefore, are we going to see the same ones as options every time we play, or is it going to be a whole bunch of different stuff to experiment with? So now it's the place of power, where we restore energy or use a special ability based on elements. So let's see what this is all about. So we can either upgrade a unit by 3, okay, or we can gain 20 energy. Now, we used very little in the first encounter. In fact, it shows us how much we have right here. Do we... Oh, that's just the timer for how long we spent on this run. Okay, I wasn't sure if we had some kind of cooldown where we restore energy, but... Yeah, so we are capped at 100, so, I mean, this gets us pretty high up there. We're not going to be capped out. It's not like we're at risk of, not getting the full value out of this, but we're getting close at that point, so maybe we do, especially since it's early on. Upgrade units, it seems like that might be the best route early on in a run where you get the benefit long-term, whereas toward the end, when you're only getting maybe 1 or 2 matches with increased power on a unit, that's not so valuable anymore at that point, so you'd rather just load up on the energy then. So I think we go for the upgrading a unit. Ooh, like the animation. Okay, so we can choose a card to upgrade here, and I think we may not have even seen all the cards in our deck in the first encounter. So we did use Trident Infantry big time, and we did also just take a card that allows us to double the strength of a unit, and this is going to be the card that we want to focus all of our boosts on for the most part. So this is really the card that I guess we're just going to invest in like crazy in this thing. Because if it's going to be the thing that gets doubled, then we might as well start out with a 7 power unit. Now if our opponent has cards that remove tall units, that's going to be an issue.
There were no monsters in sight around that stone.
The energy flowing through the veins beneath such stones can be traced back to the conjunction.
Okay, so that is a place of power, which has another deeper source of energy, which, for those of you who have played The Witcher before, you'll be familiar with those. But now we're in for another battle here, so let's hop in, and let's see what it's all about. Or actually, no, we have another event of some random variety here. So all these other things, the treasure chest, all good stuff. Place of power, all good stuff. No potential downsides, or at least didn't seem like it. Whereas, I don't know, this one, total question mark. Might be good, might be bad. We're about to find out. Okay, avalanche, that doesn't sound good. Oh no. As you travel through a gorge, a white dragon swoops overhead and lands on an icy peak high above. It stretches, roars, and takes off, flapping its enormous wings. The layer of snow beneath the magnificent beast collapses, and a formless mass of tumbling white slides down the mountainside, quickly turning into an avalanche. In mere moments, an expanse of ice, snow, and rock blocks the valley. What? So the straightforward option seems to be move the debris and lose 25 energy. Turn back? I guess I don't fully understand what that entails. Like, do we just end the run right here if we turn back? Is that what that means? In which case, obviously, we don't really want to do that. If not, can we go back and go in a different direction? In which case, that's probably fine. We were, in fact, wondering if we could do that. So that's kind of... that intrigues me. And then, I just have no idea what Smash is supposed to be. Generally speaking, smashing snow doesn't really work anyway. It's kind of light and fluffy and doesn't really get smashed. So that's weird. I mean, I am curious to see. This might end our run. In which case, in the name of science, we've determined what turn back does. So, we sacrifice so that you can learn. But if it does mean that we can continue and just go in a different direction, then that's great. So, let's at least see. You evaluate your options and quickly decide it's best to turn back and find an alternate route. Okay, so yeah, if we can go a different route. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this way is completely blocked off. But it does send us up a northern route that we previously would not have been able to take. So that's intriguing. So yeah, we were not anticipating that that was going to end up happening, but I suppose we were perhaps looking to go into another battle soon anyway. So yeah, we'll head over here. Okay, it's an assassin.
Lay down, my lady. I shall be with you shortly.
That doesn't sound good. Okay, so we still have our 72 energy, At the start of each battle, you can swap a number of cards from your hand with ones from your deck. So we can do that. Usually it's, okay, 2 redraws. Gotcha. Finish redrawing when we're ready. But we can also just hide cards here, which is basically a way of temporarily putting those things aside so we can look at what they have here. At the end of your turn, destroy a random enemy unit with 2 or less power. Okay, so anything weak, they have the chance to destroy. So the thing about us investing really heavily in... We can also hide our cards to look at our deck. The thing about us investing really heavily in this Trident Infantry is we really, really want to draw into this card. So that is a bit of a risk here. And, I mean, we do have good cards in hand. It's just that none of them are Trident Infantry. So you're 8 points, potentially 12 points. You, if we have another soldier in our hand, we do. That's at least 8 points. This doubles an allied unit's power. If we get Trident Infantry, that's a great option for us. We can deal damage with One-Eyed Betsy, which is 8, maybe 7. But Temerian Drummer is 4 initially, but over the course of the match, because we'll go a fair number of rounds, it is worth more than that. So it is, by some accounts, the weakest card in our hand, but it also is getting enabled by Ramon. So we might... I think we dump One-Eyed Betsy, actually. Reynard is also a good point-scoring engine, so I like that. But we are kind of in need of a Trident Infantry here, or at least we'd very much like to see it. But we do get more boosts here. So the combination of Reynard and Temerian Drummer can help us get taller units so that we can double something's power, and that should still be decent value at that point. So I think we can make this work, and we will, of course, still draw cards. So there's a chance we draw into that Trident Infantry, but I think we'll leave it at this. We can redraw one more card if we'd like, but this is still pretty solid. And naturally, we draw into One-Eyed Betsy anyway. Okay, so let's go and start with, I think, actually Ramon, because we can use Ramon. See, we now know all the battle basics from this point on. We're on our own. Good luck. Let's go. So if we use Ramon, I like starting off with him because we play a soldier from our hand, or a copy of a soldier from our hand, and that means we can get 8 points in one turn, not to mention get an additional Temerian Drummer on the board immediately here. So that's 1 point per turn. So that's really nice. Okay, On-Crate Longship deals 1 damage whenever we play a unit. So it does seem as though they are using a damage deck. Not so surprisingly, that does make sense. And we could go with Reynard here. We want to make sure that we're generating as much value as early as possible by, well, setting up our engines as early as possible. And he boosts a unit every time we play a unit, so another card that benefits the earlier you play it. So it's really either you or you. We'll go Reynard here, though. And gonna put him in this spot where he gets boosted by Temerian Drummer because we care about Reynard. We want him to stick around, and if he drops below 2 power, then the assassin might destroy him. So we'd rather not have that happen. Okay, so yeah, this is very similar to a Skellige deck, at least in multiplayer Gwent, is what it looks like. Okay, lots of Temerian Drummers now. We do want to play them quickly, early in the matchup, so we have as much time as possible to benefit from those boosts. So we might just come in and chain a whole bunch of boosts together. So the red dot you see there, we talked about it before, is bleed, which means 1 damage at the end of our turn. There's the Trident Infantry. Okay, so we definitely want to get this out as quickly as possible, because that's the card that we want to focus as many of our boosts as we can on. So we'll play this next to, I guess, this Temerian Drummer. This could get destroyed, but we have another Temerian Drummer which we can use to boost that. So we have just a ton of boosts here. I'm a little worried about this getting destroyed by the assassin. It's possible that could happen, in which case we could use some of our spells here. Like, we're going to take 1 damage from the bleed, so that'll drop us down to 3 here. Then if they use the Dim and Light Longship to damage the Temerian Drummer, which is what they should do, that'll drop it down to 2, which makes it removal range for the assassin. So technically speaking, we should do that. And could even use Ileana here to boost up Trident Infantry if we really want to. That's certainly an option. I guess we will. Like so. Okay, so that should give us some pretty solid separation. Now, did we need to do that? maybe we had enough going for us that that wasn't really necessary, although they have more damage here from Mullane.
Yes, dwarf.
So that was probably the best card we've seen thus far. Now, Nekker, we added this card to our deck recently. It is a good early turn card to play, early round card to play, because it gains value over time. We have a lot of cards that fall into that category, so you want to be careful. You want to try to strike a balance in your deck, have some cards that work well at the beginning, and some cards that work well at the end. So we have a lot of stuff like all those Temerian Drummers, and Trident Infantries, and Reynards that we want to play at the beginning of the match, and so it does make it a little more awkward to get Nekker. Now, this is technically 2 points per turn, or at least can be, as long as we're triggering that Thrive that we were talking about before. The card gets boosted whenever we play a unit that is higher power than this. And because we spawn in another Nekker when we play this, that's why we can potentially get 2 points per turn out of it. So this is 2 points per turn. This is 1 point per turn. So those are the best options here, but I think we will go, well, then again, Assassin will destroy you, presumably immediately. So at least in this specific matchup, that's not a great option for us. And I don't think we're allowed to destroy this sort of boss-like enemy here. So we can destroy the light longship with One-Eyed Betsy, which denies them some damage. So that's not a terrible choice, but I think we might deliberately not focus too much on the Nekker. We'll instead prioritize the Temerian Drummer because we're anticipating that this assassin is going to disrupt our plans here. So this might, in fact, turn into a throwaway in this specific example, this specific situation. Okay, Marauder, more damage, but not too much of it, so not a huge concern here. So we can still go with more boosts, and we do want to load up on as many boosts as possible on this Trident Infantry so that we use Girdle of Giant Strength to make it just an absolutely humongous card. That was the plan, and I think we can stick with it here. Okay, Manticore Venom, more damage. And they're getting close to having something in removal range for this assassin, but you're still going to get boosted by this Temerian Drummer, so that's not even that much of a concern here. And then again, okay, at this point we're looking at... Oh, that's actually different. Okay, this is slightly different than usual. Damage based on the amount of boost that you have. So this is another potential boost target. If we hadn't gotten Trident Infantry, then this could have been a nice alternative. But, I mean, we can sneak in by one of these Temerian Drummers. That's an option. We do want to try to have these guys remain tall enough that they don't get removed by the assassin, but we also could play Nekker here. If we are going to play it, then we want to... I mean, I think it's going to immediately get destroyed by you, because it can immediately get destroyed by you, but we're about to find out. Pretty sure he's just going to... Because he has the option to destroy one of these guys, immediately go for it. Unless to reveal they waste it on these Nekkers that they're already able to destroy. No, they don't waste it. Okay, yes, they do destroy one of the Nekkers at least. The second one, technically speaking, will get boosted when we play one of these guys, so that means that it actually should remain a little bit safer unless they target it with additional damage. So let's get you boosted from this Temerian Drummer to give you slightly more damage, at least potentially. Gimpy is more damage. Yeah, I mean, there's a pure damage deck. They did manage to get rid of, actually, a whole lot of our Temerian Drummers there, because he deals 3 damage to all copies of a unit. That's actually also slightly stronger than the multiplayer version of Gimpy. So, One-Eyed Betsy, oh, I mean, going after the Longship would have been a good target for damage, although I'm not sure we had enough to make that happen. We do now, actually. I mean, it's not all that valuable this early in the round, or this late in the round, rather, but 2 damage plus 4 damage. I mean, technically now it's overkill, but sure, we'll do it anyway, because it is probably still the most valuable option for us. Because it's a little bit overkill damage, and we could just do the 4 damage on Mullane or to reveal, and we're getting 1 more damage there. But it denies them the damage on deploy here. Actually, we had armor, so we weren't going to take any damage from it. So yeah, it actually would have been 1 point better to hit one of them. But I think we're doing fine here. They have more damage still. But we have a pretty large lead here. They'll destroy, what was that? Reynard, which technically doesn't matter very much anymore because we played all of our units already. So we were waiting to play Girdle of Giant Strength on you as our finisher. Now they've damaged Trident Infantry, so it's not quite as high of a card as we would have liked for it to have been. Could have been even better, but it is still 12 points plus 1 extra damage. So I'm feeling pretty confident about where we're standing right now. Wild Boar of the Sea is a great finisher, though. damages every unit, and then if a unit is damaged already, hits it twice, but at least that's what it does in multiplayer, Gwent. It is not enough for them to catch us, so we'll take the win. Alright, Assassin defeated. Not entirely sure what these things mean there, to be honest with you. At least not yet. So we can either add stuff to our deck, or actually removing cards from our deck, for what it's worth, might seem like, well, Vids, why would you ever do that? It's actually potentially quite beneficial, as we saw in this match. If there are specific cards that you really want to draw into, then you want to have the highest probability of getting those specific cards, and not drawing into the junk cards that you never really want to play. So if you remove a card from your deck, you can get rid of the bad stuff and increase the probability of you getting just the good stuff in your hand, or getting the good stuff more quickly. So there is definitely still some value to be had from that. We also, I'm realizing, do have the option to re-roll if we would like to do that, but we need to probably determine if we're removing a card or adding a card first. So I think if we try to remove a card, we're going to see 3 options, much like we would if we were trying to add something to our deck. Still think it probably makes the most sense to add cards early, and then once you get toward the end of a run, you have a better sense of what you're trying to do with the deck, and so you have a better sense of what you do and do not want in your deck, and then you can remove the cards that don't synergize as well and keep the cards that do synergize well. So I think we'll still add here. And let's see. Because we are primarily a boosting deck right now, so, I mean, damaging an enemy unit by 5 is still good value for sure, but it doesn't synergize as much. I mean, it's 10 points of value, yes, but the crossbowman, 5 base power, 2 damage, and then whenever we play a unit, damage random enemy unit by 1. That is another really good early round card for the damage purposes. This is capable late round because it doesn't take any time to charge up at all, so that's a good finisher. We do have a lot of early round cards. Then this, at least in multiplayer Gwent, is a boosting-centric card. So Formation means that if we play it in the melee row, we can use this ability immediately. If we play it in the range row, he'll get 1 boost on himself, but it will take 1 turn before we can use that order. So boost an allied unit by 3, slightly better than multiplayer Gwent. Inspired, meaning if he is boosted, then he gets this bonus. He gives 3 armor as well. Not feeling like this is as powerful as our alternatives here, though. I mean, this is a lot of damage over the course of a round, and this is a big burst of damage, so even though they don't necessarily go as much in tandem with the cards that we've added already, I think we still are looking at one of these guys here. I think we'll still go for you, and we're going to have to focus more, I think, on the finishers after this, because we're now starting to load up a bit on the early round cards, the Ancients.
Leave us alone, you rogue!
And maybe take a bath.
Oh, alright, well, we've now finished that battle as well, and here we're looking at another battle or another place of power, and if we go to that place of power, we're on our way to an elite battle, which sounds very exciting. A formidable enemy awaits you. Defeat them to evolve your key card. Oh. Is that Liliana? The one that starts on the board, maybe? That's definitely something that I think will be interesting to test out here, and there are a few of those elite battles over the course of a run, it seems, and presumably they are more dangerous. The ones that we've encountered thus far, not too difficult. We've been able to outscore our opponent by a considerable margin, but that could change with one of these elite battles here. So that is something that I definitely think we'll want to check out. But I think this is also a good place for us to wrap up here, so hopefully you got a sense to see all the stuff there is to Rogue Mage in terms of what the basic game mechanics are like, the battles, the places of power, the chests, the loot, and what have you. So with that in mind, like I said, it is $10 USD and $20 USD for the premium version with additional cosmetics. And so far, I really like the game. It reminds me a lot of Gwent multiplayer. The game, the cards, slightly different in some cases in terms of their mechanics, but other times they are quite literally the same. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit different from Gwent but still feels familiar, then it definitely does fit that description. And just starting to get a feel for the rogue-like aspects here, where we're building up our power over time. Fortunately, we haven't lost yet, so don't yet have a great sense as to what happens when the run ends and you're looking to start a new run. But think we can start to at least get a bit of a feel for it, and so far, I think it's been really fun. I'm really looking forward to playing more. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. We are, of course, doing lots of Gwent deck guide videos for multiplayer Gwent on this channel, where we've also done Thronebreaker, the previous single-player Gwent game, which we are probably gonna put to the side for a little bit for the time being and focus on more Rogue Mage. And maybe once we're done with Rogue Mage, or we have additional time to do them both simultaneously, we might start to do them both simultaneously. But for the most part, I think Rogue Mage is probably going to be taking the place of Thronebreaker, at least for the time being, as we're about halfway through that playthrough right now, I think. Also have done Witcher 1, 2, and 3 as well, so lots and lots of Witcher and Gwent-related stuff on this channel, if that is of interest to you. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.